I just happen to have 2 posts that already have tenons cut on them. Get them out of the kiln here. So these tenons have been in the kiln for 2 or 3 days, and so they were quite dry before we cut any tenons on them. And so these were I cut this morning, and we just start reaming, I suppose. Is that right?
Right. And
I need a perpendicular line here.
Right. Another little note on that is, oh yeah, I remember what I was saying. I forgot what I was going to say. All of these super dried tenons need to stay super dried. In other words, once he reams this post, the post could actually sit out in the room until he's ready to assemble the chair. But before he assembles the chair, before final assembly, it needs to be super dried again. So it just doesn't do to super dry it once. You want to have it super dried before it goes into the final assembly. And here you want it super dried because you don't want it to drop down in the hole anymore after you get the height that you're after.
Need to go up a good bit on this one, so I'm gonna push down to that hole and then push up.
Yeah.
Now I haven't reamed much of that hole yet, and so the angle will change really quickly right now. Once I've gone down further, the angle will change slower and slower as I have more wood to remove to achieve that.
But you should, Elia, you should start reading off of your post now, because if that post has got a curve in it, it's going to be way out up at the top.
Smart man.
And now you need an orientation on that post. Okay.
Okay.
So what we're going to have to do, we need the other post slightly tapered before we can get our orientation.
Okay.
Okay. So the orientation is going to be grain alignment, but the crest comes into play here. So once he gets us just a little bit of taper here so that that post is close. Okay, so now align the wood fibers like we normally would, which is the growth rings running perpendicular to the long wood fibers of the mortise piece. Okay.
Right.
So the tangential face is pointing towards the front of the seat and towards the back of the seat. Your radial plane is over on the sides. Okay. And there's a lot written and a lot talked about that grain orientation. We won't go into it right now, but that's what you want. That's your tangential face Elia is pointing at right there. But and if we didn't have a crest rail, that's the way that we would align it. Or if the parts were round, that's the way they would stay. But because we've got a crest rail going into these posts and they're octagonal, we want to drill into a flat. You don't want to drill into one of those corners. You want to drill into a flat of the facet there. Well, we don't know what that flat's going to be till maybe we can take that crest rail and help us get it. So if you take the crest rail and put it up against the back of the post, and you'll see that that crest rail is sitting on a corner probably.
Yes. Yeah. If I take it out, I can show you it's hitting. Yeah, somewhat. I think I can show you. There we go. It's hitting like that.
Right.
Right on that corner.
Right. And you want it hitting on the flat, which if your other flats were forming a true octagon, and they might not be, then when you drill the hole into this flat way over here on this far side, then your drill bit should be going right into the middle of that flat. And it looks like Elia, it looks like that's pretty square. It looks like where you'll be drilling and where
Zoom
it's
out a tad bit.
and where it's pushing up against the crest rail is pretty square to each other. So put it back in the hole. And now put it up there and rotate that post out just a bit.
So I'm rotating it counterclockwise
Right.
until that flat touches. So I'm rotating it away from the center line, and then I'll do the same thing over here, rotating it out just a tad bit to where the crest is touching that flat perfectly.
Right. Okay. So now we've got our orientation. Now you want to maintain that every time you put it in. Because if you get that turned around and you're sighting off the post and the post have a crook in it, it ain't going to be right. So take your pencil now and you're going to try to make a line up your tapered tenon off of the sighting angle.
Right. Okay.
Try to make it as
So,
straight as you can. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just a guess there that you're doing, but there you go. Great. Now you've got your line to line up with that sighting angle every time you put it back in. Just don't get your left post and your right post turned around. Now, another thing you might do before you did that, before we went all through that, is to see if your posts have a big crook in them. You know, if your posts are straight, no problem. But if your posts bowed like this right here, then I like to turn those posts, those bows back and out.
So back that way.
Right.
And flaring like that.
Yeah, and out that way. And just hope that they match each other if they bowed the same. The red oak I had was amazing stuff. It dried straight as can be, but that's not always the case. I've seen some.
Yeah, mine are real straight too.
Okay. So we lucked out for getting that part. So
yeah. As my grandmother said, better to be lucky than smart.
right.